Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I just completed the Elysian Field Strongman competition and now I've started the 12-week training cycle. I think it's a 12-week training cycle, 1-week deload for Oklahoma's Strongest Man, taking place July 13th, I think, up in Oklahoma, I guess, somewhere. Maybe I should look things up. Anyways, this week went really well. It was the first week of training. For some reason, the first week of training after a competition, I'm always a little sore. But everything's better now. We're good to go. Strongman Saturday got a little bit wet, but it's a good opportunity to clean weights, I guess. Anyways, I'll see you after the commentary. And welcome to the commentary. So started out this week with some slingshot bench, worked up to a 250 pound by 3. This is all supposed to be at RPE 7.5, which I never actually hit. 250, I kept on expecting it to be 7.5. But I only ever rated it a 7. Really loving the trolley arms with the lift off for bench press. I'm telling you, it's a game changer, especially if you don't have someone to train with. Then moved on to some axle strict press. So you're going to see during this training cycle, most of the things I would use a barbell for, I'm going to end up using an axle. So this is 150 pounds by 5 at an RPE 7.5. Everything felt good, moved well, and on top of that, I am actually lifting with just a soft belt on, which is a new development. I'm normally very addicted to my hard belt. Then I finished up with some I-beam chins. This is with a 30-pound kettlebell. This is the the MB Power Center, the Mike Bartos I-beam attachment, awesome piece of equipment. And then this isn't fast forward because it takes so long, but these are kettlebell upside down presses, or kettlebell bottom ups, and then these were supersetted with some dumbbell lateral raises for sets of 8 each. So the kettlebell got up to 40 pounds, and the dumbbell lateral raises just stayed at 20. This is one of those times where I'm happy that I bought the loadable dumbbells. Moved on to day 2, and it consisted of a 3x5 squat at an RPE 7.5. I did them across the board at 335 pounds, and everything actually felt pretty good, especially considering that I had worked up to a failure during Anarchy Week. So I'm really trying to control my descent. It used to be, I have this terrible habit where I just kind of plummet down into the hole, and I guess I just assume that my knees aren't going to explode. But I'm really trying to slow down and clean this up. I'd love to see my squat numbers go up in 2019. But again, everything's at RPE 7.5. And as much as this last rep doesn't really look like a 7.5, I really feel like I was good to go. I called it an 8 at the very end. Then moved on to single arm trolley rows. This is 3x8 at 7.5, so 3 sets of 8. I ended up working up to 45s, which is what you see here. These trolley arm rows are a little bit heavier than you might think. The trolley arms, I know 45 pounds on the end of it doesn't seem like much, but they feel way heavier than they really are. Again, trolley arms, awesome thing to have. In case you haven't looked at it, go back and look at my review and my assembly videos on these. And then I finished up with some Bulgarian split squats with the SSB, getting back into some unilateral work, which you can see my balance is not so good. I actually just started with the bar and just was trying to build that balance up. And it kind of gets better here, but when it's just my right leg with my left leg elevated, my balance is like way off. So this is just going to take some time to work on. Finished up with this set right here at 130, and that was at 5 per leg. And then I wrapped up the gym training with some GHD sit-ups. Then I went outside, and you guys are going to get a rare glimpse at me doing conditioning. So this is a 60-foot sled push every minute on the minute for 10 minutes. I ended up modifying the EMOM, the conditioning exercise. And what I did is I went and got my 1-inch rope, or 1.5-inch rope, whatever this is. And I was doing, well, I started doing seated pulls. There's my timer. And I was doing an arm over arm on the alternative minute. So I ended up doing a total of 5 pushes and 5 pulls every minute on the minute. Awesome exercise. Might go up a little bit more next time. So there's only a 45-pound plate on the dog sled here. However, there is quite a bit of friction on my street. It's like a gritty concrete surface, so it definitely takes a little bit of effort to get it out. The arm over arm was definitely the limiting factor on this conditioning. Another excellent push. What do you guys think, though? Do you only do conditioning by running, or how do you get your conditioning in? Earlier in the week on Monday, I actually ended up doing a 4x500 meter row. And if you want to see when I do conditioning, go ahead and start following me on Instagram. You can find me at The Kurt Locker. So move on to day 3. Axle push presses, 10x2, every minute on the minute, and an RPE 7. Ended up working up to about 202.5 pounds. To be honest, I have no idea what this particular set is of. Thinking it's probably 195. But every minute on the minute. So in between sets, run around, write some stuff down, grab some plates, depending on how my RPE is feeling. Again, everything is supposed to feel RPE 7. So I ended up going up to 202.5, but most of mine were right at 195 to 200. Again, these are feeling good. In the Oklahoma Strongest Man, I'll have a max axle overhead. Clean and press, single rep. So I'm definitely trying to get used to using the axle. One of the hardest parts for me is I normally line up on the barbell knurling, and obviously when you're using an axle, you no longer have that. So I do have a piece of tape that is in the middle of my axle, but I'm almost thinking about removing that so I can just get used to eyeing it up, because I have no idea what kind of axle we're going to be using and if it's going to have any indicators. Like the Bartos one has, I think, 3 etched in knurl marks. I don't know if that's what they're going to use. The Rogue one has a piece of tape in the middle. Mine's just homemade. I actually made this. Maybe I should do a video on that. You guys want to see a video on how I made this axle? If you do, comment down below. Tell me you want to see how I made this thing. I think total investment, I was like 30 bucks or so. Like just $30, not $3,030. So after some push presses, and we got a little bit heavy, I moved on to paused incline bench. And again, I'm using the axle, just getting used to the feel of the axle. It's going to be the staple of this training cycle. So this is my incline homemadeness with my magical levitating bench. What do you guys think? Safe, unsafe? I think it's pretty awesome, personally. Especially since I can't really justify, like I barely have space in the garage as is, and I hang my bench up on the wall. But anyways, paused incline bench up to 205 by 4, and then finished up with some dips. And I think you're looking at 62. And I was doing sets of 5 to total up to 25 total repetitions. I think that's my last one. They were supposed to be at RPE 7. That was probably a little bit high, but it'll buff. Then finished up with some preacher curl, and those were coupled with any sort of push down, like tricep push down. So what I ended up doing is I threw my pulley system that I made. Maybe I should do a video on how to make one of those out of nothing. And I put the grandfather clock grips from Rogue and just a 45-pound weight. Yeah, just a 45-pound weight. And it's going to sets of 20. And what I was trying to do, and it's kind of difficult to see, is at the very end I'm trying to rotate my wrist down so I get an extra movement. Came in day 4, axle deadlift. This is a 1x3. This is my top set at 405. I was supposed to push up to an RPE 8. I called this an RPE 7. I pulled it. Based on the warm-up prior to this rep, this should have been about an RPE 8, but it definitely wasn't. So this is definitely an RPE 7 for me. I'm solid fixed on that. Still working on that upper thoracic going into flexion, But at the same time, I don't really feel bad because some of my favorite lifters that I follow, they have the same type of thing. All I can do is just work on it a little bit. So pause front squat, 10 by 2, every minute on the minute, more conditioning. Trying to make my fatness go down. I'd like to be walking around at 200 in case they divide the 231 weight class. But I ended up starting at about 185, working up to 210. It's my first time doing fronts in a while. Really kind of concentrating on getting my whole hand, obviously not my thumbs, but getting all 4 fingers on the bar during these squats. And then again, just trying to control that descent and not have my elbows drop, which on the fronts is pretty bad. I'm not very good at that particular lift. Then moved on to some SSB good mornings. This was 160 by 8. I just went 160 all the way across the board. Really trying to slow this down. I used to just kind of crash down. Like, I guess that's a common thing. I need to concentrate more on the eccentric portion of the lift. So then finished up with some GHRs at work. One of the nice things about where I work, we have glute ham raises. So then we get to Strongman Saturday. Now what you don't see right now is that it's like 30 degrees outside and pouring rain. So I come outside. I got an actual friend to come over and lift with me. And I started lifting, and today's weights were supposed to be a 7 by 2 at 7.5 RPE, which I ended up peaking at 225, but I only got that for a single. But I'm pretty sure that could have, I think I kind of mentally screwed myself because around the 5th set, I got a really awesome amount of skin pinched between the axle and my belt, which hurt real bad. And then we moved on to some yoke. So this is really light yoke. I think it's like right under 400 pounds. And all I'm working on is that turn. Historically speaking, I'm kind of slow on the turn, so I'm just trying to drop, turn around, get back in, and essentially I'm trying to figure out exactly where to put my hand so that when I hit the bar with my back, I'm just up and I'm moving. I'm fairly happy with these. I didn't have any additional drops. The contest weight's at 650. 650 by itself is not that big of a deal for me. It's a down and back at 40 feet. The competition coming up also has bag over bar. So this is me doing sets of 5 with what I think is a 50-pound bag. And it's going to be over a 12-foot standard. What you're going to see me build here in the future is some sort of 12-foot thing. Maybe I'll attach it to my yoke. And that way I know if I'm throwing 12 feet or not. Towards the end of the training, I ended up doing 4 sets of 5. And it was like 2 sets supersetted with each other. And I'm telling you, it got heavy and started to not go quite so high. So then moved on to some face bowls, hypers, and this is us finishing up with the Saxon bar. This is actually a PR for me. Not quite locked out, but I pulled 145 here for 3. And I'm just breaking the ground. I'm pretty happy with that. That's a 10-pound PR, which is good. So this is my drop set. So this is 125 by 1, 2, 3, 4. I actually don't have the number written down. 5, 6, 7. Oh. Not quite 8, but we'll call it 8 because I'm feeling good. That's the end of it. So then this is super fast forward conditioning. This is one of my favorite things with the trolley arms. This gentleman that's training with me, Dan, has never used them before, and so I was like, hey, let's do a little conditioning work. So you start at 5. You do 5, we'll call them trolley snatches, and then you do 6, and then 7, and then 8, and then 9, and then 10, and you're just going one after another. All right, that's all I got for this week. Look forward to you tuning in next week for week 2 updates. What do you think? Is this video too long? Do you guys want like shorter training summary videos every week? Is it not long enough? Are my transitions okay? I'm pretty new to the YouTube game. Tell me what you guys actually want to see. Also on the horizon, I know I've been promising it, but some more equipment reviews. I've got some local fabrication, some things that were made by a local fabricator rather, that I want to do some reviews of. Just a matter of knocking them out, getting them done, finding time. Again, being a father of 2 girls takes up a lot of your schedule. So until next time, I appreciate you tuning in, and go ahead and give me a like, subscribe, hit the little bell, and the next time I upload a video, you'll get a notification. I'll see you next week.